what's new? What's new with me? I got a haircut. As you can see, I got like 8 inches cut off. That's pretty much it. My name is Lauren, if you don't know. I'm the girl who is putting her bar exam journey on the internet for everybody to see, because I don't think it's talked about often enough how not passing the bar exam the first time is okay, because it is. But if you're here for bar exam stuff and law school stuff, you probably won't care about this video. This is another theater video. Basically it's about Starkid and my unpopular opinions about Starkid, if you've read the title. So please don't hate me, because I'm about to be a bit controversial in my opinions. And I have my notes here. Ta-da! So if you see me looking down a lot, it's because I'm trying to keep this video on track. This is the second time I filmed this video, so I hope it's going. And I just like looked behind to see if I can see the reflection of the video going on my TV, because I film on my phone. So I'm going to try to keep this video basically in some kind of order. I can't make any promises. So yeah, let's start with the disclaimer, and that is, this video is just my opinion. They're my comments and my critiques on Starkid. They are not meant to be seen as hateful towards Starkid, the actors, the writers, or anybody involved in Starkid. I love Starkid. I love the actors. I think they're all great and amazing. And I want to see them all succeed. This video is purely for critique and commentary purposes. So I mean no ill will towards anyone involved. I will say it multiple times through this video. I love everyone involved. These are just my opinions on small things with everything. So they come all from a place of love. So please, please, please keep that in mind when you watch the video and you want to potentially respond to me in the comments below. I suggest you watch the video all the way through before you make any comments on what I say, because hopefully I will clear up everything. And if I don't, then you can comment. The comment section is going to be open for debate and for conversations. If I see any hate towards myself or my opinions that doesn't look like it's open for me to respond or for someone to defend a position, I'm going to be deleting that, because I don't want that in my comment section. My comment section is here for debate and conversation. So yeah, let's get on to my unpopular opinions. I'm going to start with the actors, and most of this actually doesn't deal with the actors acting themselves. You typically will deal with things that the actors have done in the shows and my unpopular opinions about that. So for example, Dylan Saunders. I love Dylan. He looks like the kind of guy that just gives amazing hugs. I love him. However, I am very tired of him singing ballads, because I feel like that's all Starkid casts him for. He's really good at it, but also like they all sound the same to me after a while. It's one of the reasons I'm not the biggest fan of Twisted. It's one of the reasons why I skipped through his second ballad in Black Friday. I mean, I skipped through his first ballad too, but they sound the same. And in Black Friday especially, they're basically saying the same thing. I don't know if you could hear that whisper, but if you can, kudos to you. So yeah, Dylan, I love you, but you can do more than ballads, and I wish Starkid would let you, because Kick It Up a Notch is your best song. It is your best song. It's your best song. Next is Rachel Saglin. I'm hoping I say that last name right, but Rachel is so talented, but I think she was miscast as Jasmine, because she doesn't sound good singing it. And this isn't to say that I don't think she sounds good singing, because her role as the mother is her best role. She's amazing as Emberly. I love her duets with Joey. Her and Joey, their voice blending is just like magical. And that's something that she doesn't have with Dylan. And that's not just a her problem. Kim Whalen doesn't blend well with Dylan's voice either. But yeah, I don't like Rachel as Jasmine, and it's one of the other reasons I really don't like Twisted, which is an unpopular opinion, and that's I don't like Twisted. So let's go on to Lauren Lopez. I love Lauren Lopez. I think she's great. I think she's hilarious. But I don't think, besides Firebringer, she has ever been in a show that showcases her voice well. And what I mean by that is she's a soprano. Firebringer shows how to write well for a soprano. The other show she's in, she is stretching her voice beyond what her best comfort range is, in her solos and stuff, and it just doesn't sound that great, because most of the stuff that she is being made to sing is supposed to be belted, and she just can't belt in her soprano register, which is a common thing for sopranos that are just like trained sopranos. It's hard for us to belt in that normal higher upper register. It's easier for us to belt lower notes. But yeah, I feel like Firebringer's the only show that actually writes well for a soprano range, because it is like the stuff she does belt is right within the range of her belting, and it sounds glorious. And no other show has really done that for her, which is so sad because she is such a good singer. Next is Kurt Mega. He's a newer Starkid. He is one of the newest Starkids. He's amazing, and I feel like people don't understand his vocal range. I see fan casts on Tumblr all the time, and he is almost always listed as ensemble, despite me totally disagreeing with that most of the time, because he's not just an ensemble understudy character. And I think people do that because they don't fully understand what his vocal abilities and range are. To best see that, watch his episode of Uptown Girl from Glee. I know people have lots of opinions about that song, but that is one of the best songs the Warblers sang. And Kurt's the one that has the lead on it. Out of all the Warblers, 4 have leads in songs. Kurt is one of them, and he's not a lead warbler. That should tell you something about Kurt's talent. But also, if you wanted to see his range and see how good he is at singing, Spies Are Forever by 10K Brothers is a really good way to see that. Also, watching him in Shitty Broadway. He does opera in that because he sings Phantom of the Opera with Mary-Kate Wiles. His range is beyond amazing. So yeah, I feel like people don't understand how talented he is, and so they miscast him and all that kind of stuff, but also, like, I feel like he's underappreciated in the fandom, and I think he's underappreciated because the president was not a well-liked character in Black Friday, and that is not Kurt's fault. Kurt was perfectly cast as the president. He has that all-Americanness to him, so he was a perfect choice, but the directorial choices towards his character in the end undid his character, which is they cut a song from him, which would have helped make him fit in more. And I'll talk more about that when I get to the Hatchetfield comments I have. Next is Kim Whalen. I love Kim. I think she was a really good choice for Becky Barnes, but I don't think Take Me Back is a very good song for her to sing. To me, and I think this is more of a blending issue with Dylan, is she doesn't sound comfortable singing it because of how much she has to jump around and how much she's trying to belt when it's very much getting to the top of her belting range. She's super talented, but Jeff wanting to do all these complicated songs is really undermining his actors because not everybody has his 18 octave vocal range, okay? But yeah, I love Kim, but I don't think Take Me Back is a good song for her. And now we're going to talk about Jeff Blim. I love Jeff Blim. I think he's great. I think he overuses his falsetto, and that's a writing thing for him. Just because a person can do a falsetto doesn't mean they should. Falsetto is a great thing musically to have, but it needs to be done with purpose. It should not just be sung just to get somebody to hit that high note, especially when you have two trained sopranos in your cast like you did for Black Friday. Just because you can hit that note doesn't mean you should, because it sounds out of place. There are times in Black Friday and in The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals where the falsetto definitely sounds out of place, and just because you can sing it doesn't mean you should. I think Monsters and Men, the ending I think was kind of ruined by Jeff's falsetto. Like, I love Jeff. His regular singing voice is so good. You can hear it so well in Trail to Oregon and in Twisted. He has such a good regular singing voice, and I wish he utilized that more because I think it's stronger than his falsetto, because I'm not gonna lie, there are times where I think his falsetto is a bit pitchy and doesn't sound that great. Like, I love you, Jeff, but please use your regular singing voice more. I think it's way more powerful, and when you use that more, it'll make the moments you do use your falsetto more poignant. Best example I have is doing In the Grind, in Trail to Oregon. It's The Grind, or whatever that song is called. He uses his falsetto at the end, but it's for a comedic effect, and it sounds really good, and it just makes sense to put it there with the type of song it is and stuff. So yeah. Next is Nick Lang. I love Nick. I want him on stage more. He is such a good actor. I love his voice. My favorite moment in Holy Musical Batman is the "We are wingmen singing," and like, I'm off key and everything. I can't sing very well. But that whole part with Robin and Batman is literally one of my favorite things in Holy Musical Batman. I wish Nick was on stage more, acting more, because he is very good. He's also hilarious. Like, another thing, I think this is one of people's favorite parts of Holy Musical Batman is, I want to be a modern dancer. So good, so good. Nick, please get on stage more. You are a talent and a treasure. I want to see you act more. And the same thing goes for Corey Lubwich. I want to see you act and sing more, Corey. You are amazing. I would love to see you on stage more. Like, seeing you in Shitty Broadway and hearing you sing in Shitty Broadway, like, amazing. Like, the first Shitty Broadway, not Spoopy Broadway, but the first Shitty Broadway, they do The Greatest Showman. They do the opening, "Do you wanna know?" Na 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 na, the song that everybody knows the chorus to, but not the actual, like, verses to. Well, he sings part of that, and it was like, I was like, oh, get it, Corey. Like, sing more, please. So, yeah. And then last but certainly not least, in forms of unpopular opinions about actors, is Joe Walker. I want Joe to, if he ever comes back, because I know he's doing business school and stuff, but if Joe ever comes back, I want him to sing a part that is not a character voice part. He does that in almost every show he's been in. From a Harry Potter musical, even, I would even put Holy Musical Batman in that. The only show he hasn't really done that is Firebringer, which just shows how good of a singer he is. Because honestly, like, his regular singing voice is really good. Like, there's a reason he was chosen to be in Firebringer. Firebringer is written well musically, and it's also sung well, which is really important to note, because at the time Firebringer was written, the active Starkids in it, the active Starkids were not the strongest singers, which is something that is notable. Starkids aren't always the strongest singers, but the active Starkids at the time of Firebringer were in Firebringer were the stronger singers that Starkid has, and it's obvious with the way with how the music comes across. It's a show that's sung better than other shows, which is kind of sad to think about, because all the shows are written well musically, but it's just the execution musically doesn't always come across. So yeah, Joe Walker, I want you to sing more in your regular voice, because while I love your character voices, you just have such a good voice. I want to hear more of that regular voice, not a character voice. So let's go on to, I'm going to do my unpopular opinions about shows last, so we're going to go on to characters. I'm probably not going to go into too much detail about these, but for characters, I think Professor Higgins is overrated. I don't think he's that great of a character. Linda Monroe, I think she's also overrated. I think she's well acted. Like, I think Professor Higgins is well acted, but I think both of them are overrated. Also, Linda's songs aren't well written, and it's not because Lauren can't sing them, it's just because they're out of her vocal range, basically. Like, Adore Me is too low for her voice. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like Jamel and Zazalil as a couple. It didn't feel right. It just seemed to be there to have it there, which is not a good thing. I think the mother from Child to Oregon is one of the strongest and best characters that has ever been written for Starkid. She is a very well written character. Her motives continue on throughout the show, and that's a lot to do with Rachel's acting. I also think her death is the one that makes the most sense with the show, followed closely by the daughter. Just because of the death motif with her follows her throughout the show. So I think she's the best one to pick to die, in my opinion. But yeah, she's one of the best written characters. I think Paul and Emma are overrated at this point. Yeah. And Alice. I think Alice suffered really badly from poor writing because everything we know about her comes from Bill. I think that's his character's name, Corey Doris. From his character's perspective in Black Friday. And I know that they have a Nightmare Time sketch that I absolutely love. However, I'm not always a fan of expanding on character relationships in extra canon material, because I think it's a cop-out. If you didn't get it across in your original canon material, that's a problem with the original canon material. And if we comment on other authors doing that, making post-canon stuff canon, then we should also hold Starkid to that same level of critique. I think it's a directorial issue, and that I think they cut some of Alice's stuff for timing, which is something they did with Kurt's president character in Black Friday. And I think Alice's character suffered for it, which made Not Your Seed not sound as good. Well, not that. It made it not fit the musical, because it just seemed to come out of nowhere. Because we don't get to see Alice's opinion of her father. We get to see what her father thinks her opinion is of him, but we don't actually get to hear her opinion ever. And the guy who didn't like musicals. So yeah, that's all I have about characters. Because I've already mentioned the Jasmine thing and why I don't like Jasmine. And it's because I don't think Rachel was cast correctly for that. For songs, Not Your Seed just doesn't hit right. And it's because we don't get any character driven stuff from Alice up until that point. So it just seems out of place. Take Me Back. It's a good song. It's just, and the performance, because I haven't heard the recorded version, but in the performance, it's not performed well. And it's because Kim and Dylan's voices do not blend well. And I've mentioned this with Rachel, but Dylan's voice is very hard to match unless you are a belter yourself. Like, he sounds so good with Meredith, but when it comes to him and Kim or him and Rachel, they just don't sound good. And that's why Take Me Back just doesn't hit as strongly as it could. So yeah. Next, I don't think show-stopping number is that great. I mean, it's a show-stopping number, but that's because it's literally how it's written into the show. But yeah, I don't think it's that great of a number. I think thematically it works really well, but like just song-wise, it's just kind of boring. And then Dylan's Ballads. Dylan is a great singer. He sings ballads very well, but also they are all kind of one note and kind of boring. I find myself skipping through them, which is a problem. Like, Dylan, I love you, but I want you to sing more dynamic numbers, please, because I know you can. So before I get into the shows directly, I want to talk about casting. I think Starkid tends to have an issue with casting. They like to cast their star kids, which totally here for. You're a theater troupe, that's what you do. But I think they miscast people quite often. Like Linda Monroe. Script-wise it feels like it was clearly written for Lauren to play. Vocal-wise and singing-wise and musically written-wise, Jeff was just writing what Jeff wanted to write, and Lauren can't really deliver it. But this is an issue with Lauren's parts in general. Because, like I said, every show she's been in doesn't cater to her voice besides Firebringer, and that includes Spicer Forever. But yeah, I think the casting is always just slightly off somehow, because either it matches musically but not acting wise, or it doesn't match musically. And I think a good example of this is with Angela playing Lex. Acting wise, she is spot on. I don't think Mariah could have done the character like Angela could have, but the character was written for Mariah. The songs were written with Mariah in mind. California MIA was written with Mariah in mind. And Angela can't hit those notes the same way. And so I think that was a miscast. And like the thing is, when you have the songwriter in your cast and disposable to you, to not use him to help edit your songs is a problem in my opinion. So yeah. And then we come to writing. Script-wise, I think a lot of the shows are well written. They're just kind of messy. And the same thing goes with the songs. But we're going to focus on the script first. Some of the scripts I think are a bit messy, and I think they seem a bit messy because of cutting for time. Yeah, that's just how it is though sometimes. But I think some of the things that they choose to cut actually put a hindrance on characters, like with Alice. I think stuff with her that would have been with Deb and her that was probably cut. I don't know for sure, but it seems like stuff was cut with them. So it just seems messy because you don't get to know who she is, and so you have to have this whole extra skit to explain that. So yeah. When it comes to music, Jeff, especially in the more recent shows that Jeff has written, Jeff is very talented. He writes very complicated things, as the band has said. But with that comes performing it is very hard, because a lot of Jeff's songs, when performed, are not performed to the standard that they should be. And that's because they're very fast, they're hard for the actors to sing, and they're hard for the actors to also dance to and sing at the same time. So they just sound kind of messy. Like the Deck the Halls of Northville High, that song is so messy vocally. Like, it feels like it wasn't rehearsed, which we all know it was, but it feels like it wasn't because no one is singing the correct part. It sounds like they're all singing the melody, but they're all slightly off with the melody because they don't know where their notes are supposed to be placed. And this happens quite a few times, especially with Jeff's faster songs. That it just sounds like the actors don't know where to place their notes. Like this happens in Speed Run and a few other songs in Trail to Oregon, where the faster the song, the less vocally present the actors seem to be. And then just some stuff just sounds out of place, like they just forget where their parts are supposed to be, because they're all either singing the same thing or they're all just slightly off. And that's, I think, a live performance thing, but also it's like it just makes me sad that I hope I'm making sense with that point. Anyways, so let's talk about shows that I really like or shows that I don't really like and why. I've talked about Twisted already. let's talk about Trail to Oregon. I think Trail to Oregon is the best written show overall that Starkid has. I think thematically it makes sense throughout. I think the characters all thematically fit the show really well. I think the music thematically fits, and I think it's Jeff's best writing musically, because he carries motifs through the show way better in Trail to Oregon than he does in Black Friday and in The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. Firebringer, I think, is the best show written musically. The motifs carry through. The singing is just way above any other show, and like, as people have stated, The Night Belongs to Snarl, his Broadway level good. Also, that Snarl puppet, I want it. It looks so soft. I want it. But yeah, I feel like that show in general is just one of the best musically, and it shows. Even up to Twisted. Yes, I'm putting it out there. And then let's talk about the Hatchetfield stuff, which I've already kind of talked about, and that the writing is kind of sloppy. And directorial wise, they like cut things that shouldn't be cut, like Kurt's song in Black Friday as the president. That makes him seem so disconnected. And there's a reason why people don't like the president, and it's because he has no connection to give us. And this goes to say that I think Nick mischaracterizes what Black Friday is. He says it's an ensemble show. It is one of the shows that has one of the biggest casts that Starkid has ever done, besides like the very early stuff with Holy Musical Batman and Harry Potter musical. I think those are like the biggest casts they've ever had. But this is a pretty big cast, especially for recent stuff. But I think he mischaracterizes it by saying it's an ensemble show, because I don't think he fully understands what an ensemble show is. Two ensemble shows that I'm going to use to explain why Black Friday isn't an ensemble show are Cats, the musical, not the abomination that was made in 2019, but the stage version, and then Chorus Line. So some hallmarks of an ensemble show are that most of the characters, if not all of them, have a solo. They don't always move the plot forward, but they all have a solo of some sort. But also, the plot of the show itself can be summarized in like 1 to 2 lines. And you're like, Cats doesn't have a plot. Yes, it does. It's actually explained in one of the songs. But basically with Chorus Line, it's the audition process. With Cats, it's who's going to be going to the Heaviside Layer. Grisabella, cool. But the songs in ensemble shows don't necessarily have to move the plot forward. In Chorus Line, most of the songs don't move the plot forward. They're literally about the character. Their characters' I am songs. And that's the thing with Cats too. Most of the songs are I am songs. They're not I want songs. The I want song in Cats is Memory, and that's in the second act. With Chorus Line, the main plot is between the girl who leaves the chorus and then comes back to the choruses and is trying out and like is trying to convince the dude in charge of the audition to get her to cast her again because she's not washed up or whatever. So she has the I Want song. But those happen later on in the show. However, with Black Friday, every song is a plot-driven song. And with Black Friday, not every character gets a solo. As I've mentioned, Dylan has 2 ballads. I just don't think he understands Nick fully understands the concept of what an ensemble show is. Yes, you have a big cast, but you also have a lot of main characters. Like, your main characters are Becky, Tom, Lex, and Hannah. Those are your main. If you can name off your main characters like that, it's not an ensemble show. Like with Cats, who's your main character? Grisabella. How often is she on stage? She's not. She's in like 4 numbers. With Chorus Line, you have the one girl, I think she wears red in the show. But like at the end, melts away with the rest of the chorus, because that's the point, is no one should stand out in a chorus line, you know? But that doesn't happen with Black Friday. Not only do you have identifiable main characters, which takes away from the point of the ensemble show, which is there are no main characters, but all your songs are plot driven, which also doesn't lean itself to a ensemble show. So I think that is a misnomer of an ensemble show. I think the closest thing Starkid has ever done to an ensemble show is actually Trail to Oregon. Even though it has a very distinct plot and a lot of the songs are plot driven, every character has a solo at some point that's just like kind of there. But even then I wouldn't consider that really an ensemble show. But I think it's the best, it's the closest way I can describe one, because you don't really have a main character in Trail to Oregon, because any one of the 5 family members can die. So yeah. But when it comes to the Hatchetfield stuff, I just feel like a lot of it is kind of messy. I don't like, I know Starkid is known for how quick their show turnarounds are, but I feel like both The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals and Black Friday could have benefited from a bit more rehearsal time, especially with how difficult Jeff was making the music. So yeah. I think I said everything I wanted to. I hope I did. If I didn't, I'll comment below, maybe. But if you have any comments, if you want to respond to anything I've said, comment down below. If you liked this video, you can give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, you can subscribe. I do have quite a few theater videos on my channel where I typically take a movie version of a musical, whether it's an actual musical or not, and compare it to the stage version of a musical. So obviously I did Cats, I've done Newsies, I did all 3 School of Rocks, which include the TV show, because yes, I put myself through that hell. And I think the other one I did was Billy Elliot. So if you want to see more stuff like that, you can subscribe, or you can comment down below saying, hey, I want to see this. Otherwise, that's all I got. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below, and I will see you later. Bye!